In today's video, I wanted to use this as a case study just to literally go through a process that took this young man, George Southby, to his first Ironman of a 9h16, which you might be quite shocked to hear that you could go your first Ironman at 23 years old. But I'm going to break down what we had going into the build, where we needed to work on, what we did only in the few months that we were privileged to work together with. And now the race out the way at the end of August 2025, what the future holds through the winter, which is the more exciting part to this video. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you just enjoy this. It's just an information video just to show you a bit of a process, because I know some of you will be quite interested. I know I would have been 10 years ago looking at a performance and kind of what went into it. We're not going to go into the day-to-day training, the reps, the sets, the load, but I'm going to show you the volume in the last 8 weeks. I'm going to show you what areas I found remotely and with the help of another swim coach, what we need to work on that front and what we need to do in the future to get that 9h16 to a sub 9 quite easily.
George Southby, straight off your first Ironman, 9h16. Tell me how your day went.
Well, it was interesting. Started off with getting an extra 3 hours sleep, which was a massive bonus, because I probably didn't actually get to proper sleep until like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
But woke up feeling pretty good, motivated. Had my usual breakfast.
What was that?
That was 3 eggs I have first with a coffee to start off with the protein, and then went into the swim, seated fairly near the front. It was a bit carnage because the swim start was about a 150 meter wade through the water out to a little pontoon, and there were lots of people sprinting out there to try and get closer and closer to the front. But yeah, the first lap was pretty uneventful.
Okay.
Other than there were certain points around the buoys where it was quicker to stand up and wade through the water than actually swim, which was.
In summary, we'll go through a little bit more detail, but bike, we had a plan to not get carried away because you're a strong biker. You come from a biking background as a junior, so you had a big block of riding before you, because we were blessed with another month and a half of training, which will fill people in a little bit why. So yeah, we got some extra bike training, which launched you to another level.
And then just whacked the shoes on, had a quick stop in the toilets, and then headed straight out for the run.
Cool. So fueling wise on the bike, we had a bit of a strategy. You can use someone that can take quite a high amount of carbohydrate. I don't like to go too high with my triathletes. You went a bit heavier on the gels, but I also wanted you to keep some variety, which was a new thing we implemented since we only started working together very recently.
Met George towards the end of May 2025 with the view that he was doing his first Ironman at the end of June in Nice 2025. Yes. So we had hardly any time to change things. He decided to come off the plan he was working on, a pre-programmed template, if you like, that you buy off the shelf, and move towards some one-to-one coaching, knowing that we couldn't reinvent the wheel because he had already done quite a big base, averaging probably about 14 to 17 hours a week. So quite a lot of training, 23 years old. You can manage that and recover quite well. Single, and of course, no kids. So working full time. All right. So we went under no illusion that we can reinvent the wheel. I knew the key things was heat and fueling. Can't do much about his fitness. I can maybe tweak a few things. No real coach would even promise that they could do much. So that was the plan. But then Nice fell through for quite a funny little reason. Not so funny at the time. And you could see the first interview of our initial chat at the end of May, just highlighting like meeting and greeting virtually online. And then our follow-up chat after just a few weeks of implementing some fueling strategy on the longer rides, of course. And then I didn't really know how his swim was. I only could go on data from his half Ironman in Mallorca in May, and did pretty well there. Definitely a sub 5 hour race and a pretty well executed swim, decent bike. And I thought the run for him, he could probably execute better in terms of a better showcase of his fitness. We knew he had a big cycling background, which is great. So this is a caveat that you really need to understand. He rode, well, you'll see the results. He rode a strong performance on the bike in the Ironman we actually chose at the end of August. So we were gifted another sort of 6 to 8 weeks of preparation, and that allowed us to hone in on his skills on a flat course. And I'll show you what we did to change the training that he was doing. He has a biking background as a junior, so running quite new, but we tested the run and he was down to 17 minutes for a 5K. So I knew he had the speed in his legs. Okay, that was going into June. So I've got my action plan here. So we had the initial interview. We knew we had to change fueling, start heat sessions and swim, look at video. He's London based, I'm up in the north of England. So I was like, right, let's get you to see my trusted person that I work with, keeps it really simple and precise and just works on one or two things. So we knew from that we could tweak straight away quite a few areas. Now you can see on the swim videos here, the initial swim analysis he looks like a pretty prolific swimmer. What we found out that he definitely wasn't a bilateral swimmer. So that was the main thing we needed to change. Make sure that he sorted out his breathing and just worked on his favored side, so his left. So because that was throwing his stroke out under the water. And you'll see in this picture of the underwater shot on his right arm, it's completely just collapsing underneath his body, so 0 catch. And then that'll affect his breathing as a subsequent counteractive measure to go through that. So we just needed to get his alignment of his arms a little bit more kind of 11, 2 o'clock. You hear me talking about that a lot of my swim analysis videos, or 10 and 2, 11 and 2, whichever way you want to do it. And there was a little bit going on with his hand, what we call the pitch. So if you enter like this, you basically swim with the brakes on. So it was just more pitching downwards, which then sets this up. If you can see, if you start here, your catch is already poor. So we just wanted to do that. He'd never seen that. So that sets up the catch. So his catch was his biggest issue. He swam low 30s for the half Ironman. So we'd expect definitely a sub 110 swim for the full Ironman. Okay, so that was the June action plan. Because we've been gifted a little bit longer, he's still with me. You can see he went on July, he went on a nice training camp with his dad and friends. They go on cycling. So this was a huge hit because I knew we were going to get 20 to 25 hours of cycling. Yes, in the hills. Now what this does is develops specific TT strength, whether you like it or not. So a lot of overgear work. And that I knew for Ironman Tallinn was going to produce huge gains in speed. Now I had no idea about his aerodynamic position because we hadn't had a chance to hone that in. I suspected it wasn't very good. No disc wheel either. So again, huge gain. What did we do? We increased, we added hills on the run to increase, you hear me talk about durability, big area of studies at the moment. So that he wasn't doing in his Ironman build previously for Nice, even though Nice is a flat run, but we weren't doing any of that. Overgear work on the bike, as I mentioned there, we increased that on the turbo, and then we just implement the swim changes. I think the swim time was 6:07 or 6:04 for 400 meters, 6:07. So not blistering fast, but certainly could hold maybe 135, 140 pace per 100. Okay, so then what happened next? We went to Ironman Tallinn, where he got a fantastic performance. Okay, he got the 9h16. He was third, 18:24. No Kona. We were trying to go for that if it was, and that went to second. So huge performance, brilliant. 105 swim. You can see the files here on his training. I'm showing you on this screenshot is the 8 weeks leading up to it. You can see the 2 big weeks of volume, 20 plus hours of biking, tickled a little way with some running. And then we just actually brought it back down 13, 12 hours. 105, 446. You can see on these images, his time spent in zone 2 heart rate, time spent in zone 2 power. That's really important. And then the run was good. his body's not been there. I think somewhere around a 3:18, so sub 3:20 can definitely run much quicker with a 17-minute 5K. So that's experience. His aerodynamics, you can see some of these pictures on the bike, pretty poor, never been properly set up. That is changing now in October. Big gains going to be happening there. This will become right down to somewhere like a 4:30. Get this down to 60 minutes through the winter. And then this probably a 3:10 or lower. So there you already got a 5:30, 8. So there's definitely sort of a sub 9 happening there if we were chasing that, which then would put you in the right race in the Kona making. So exciting times ahead for this young lad to see what we could do. We started late, now we can get a proper winter and we can work on those swim gains. We're in a transition phase now, just to wrap up this video. So winter, we're gonna do lab testing on the bike, build resilience on the run, just make him a better runner over that distance because he's so young. Just a good winter. Increase economy. So zone 2 work, heels, and then get that 60-minute swim in. So just proper winter, working on his technical areas and not really reinventing the wheel. 3 swims a week should be fine. And the other big things we added towards the late was gym. So we're going to really get strong in the legs, because if that's holding you back for TTing, then that's all we're going to do. That's the plan. So in summary, a young talent with focused mindset who really wants to go to Kona. He's trusted me with the journey. Thanks, George. I'll just pot all my knowledge. I'll give you as much fueling, hydration advice, strength work. We'll put in people when we need to. You just have to execute, try fun along the way, keep a social life, don't work too hard, and let's target potentially Ironman South Africa in April. Otherwise, a European course. Doesn't have to be flat. Just slightly harder for qualification, but it's not always about qualification. This journey, imagine going sub 9 in your second Ironman on the right course. I'd take that any day of the week. Please subscribe. See you on the next one.